Hey traders, John Howell here, and today I've got so much I want to cover with you right now. There's actually one indicator that I always rely on and look at to see what's happening with the stock market. And the last time this actually happened in the last 1 year, 12 months, when this indicator flashed this signal, we actually had that was the bottom, and we actually had a massive rally. Are we about to get that again? I'm going to talk to you about the false breakout pattern that I talked about in my last video with Bitcoin, and how I was warning you about this drop that's coming right now. I'm going to talk to you about that, and I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to talk to you also about an actual trading setup pattern that I love trading, that I'm going to walk you through step by step when it comes to the cryptocurrencies. But there's just an actual chart setup you can actually look for in the markets. I'm going to talk about gold and silver and some really important things that's happening there right now. And I'm also talk about that the oil market, and there's probably a lot of other really good stuff I'm going to cover with you guys today when it comes to understanding what's going on right now, but also give you the tools and the knowledge to really help you when it comes to your trading. Now traders, before I do start, quick little disclaimer here. One of the biggest things that I do find that when it comes to you and your trading is one of the big things is that no one never knows what individual trade, especially if you're a trader, no one knows what trade is going to be a profitable trade, right? We can do whatever we can, but there's no guarantees of making a profit on a trade, right? And so this is one of the biggest things that has actually kept me alive in the markets, is knowing the fact that I don't know which trade is going to be a successful trade, right? So every time you get into the market, I want you to think about what are you risking if it's a losing position instead of the profit. Every time I focused on the profit first, meaning I'm like, oh man, I can make a lot of money here, but I wasn't thinking about the downside. We all know that, right? So if you want to have a really good 2025, have the foundation of, I'm getting into this position here, right? And if it's a losing position, am I protecting myself, right? And when I say protecting myself, am I, maybe losing a few percent of my account, not 40 or 50% of my account, which I saw someone recently do, and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's a bit of a foundation of, if you actually want to get ahead in the markets long term, we want to be able to protect ourselves, right? So it's good when it's okay when we're going through those really good times, but when we're not going through those good times, it's devastating, right? We end up having a bit of a ski curve. So let's actually go through the actual markets right now, and you know what? Let's actually start off with this indicator here. I was talking about the stock market. So one thing I've been working with my actual private clients with when it comes to the stock market and what's going on right now, is I've been sharing with them about what's going on with the markets here. Okay, so we're looking at this. Let me actually bring this down through to here. All right, so to the left is the weekly charts, and to the right is the daily charts. Now, to me, the most important trend for me is the weekly chart. Okay, so we can have a lot of volatility within the daily charts, up and down, right? But to me, as you can see, I like to use just a blank chart here, and I like to use one moving average on the weekly chart, and that is the 24 moving average. And I'm looking at two things to give me a really good picture on where the big momentum still is in the markets, right? Because we never know exactly when the top's going to be in or where the bottom's going to be in. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that I've been speaking to lately that they're definitely trying to pick tops and bottoms in markets, right? And we don't want to go down that path, right? So the thing for me is, we never know when that tops and bottoms are going to be in, right? So the thing I like to do myself is I like to look at two things. I actually like to look at the highs and lows, and if we are still making what I call higher lows, right? If we are still making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, if we're coming down through to here like this here, and call this could be 1 week, this could be, if I'm looking at a weekly chart here, right? And this is where a lot of traders get really, really, really stuck. And I'm going to share with you, last time we got this indicator flashing very fear, right? Because we saw the big drop in the stock market recently. And something I've been really walking my clients through just recently about, what are the simple things we can really analyze the markets to give us a much more emotionally calm, to say, okay, this is what's going on right now and what's probably likely to come. Okay, and so this here could be 1 week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks worth of downward movement. But on that weekly chart, if there is making these lows, higher lows, higher lows, if this is coming down and it hasn't actually broken the low yet, well, this could just be what? Just another one of those higher lows, and away we go, right? So I really want you to be thinking about that. Now, I overlay that, so I have the highs and lows first to give me the big trend. And if we are getting a bit of a drop like we are right now in the stock market, and we have done, and people are freaking out, right? Bring it back. Don't listen to the media and the he say and they say, right? Because we all do. One thing that you probably heard before, when people are fearful, be greedy, and so on and so forth, right? So when we're looking at the stock market here, right? When we're looking at the stock market here, I like to use two things to give me a gauge on, to help me stay emotionally calm and what's really going on, and that short-term little shake and bake. And then I like to use the 24 moving average. Now, I like to use the 24 moving average as more like a trend or momentum indicator, right? And if the moving average, like it has been, trending up and we haven't started flattening out yet, well, I have higher lows, that's an upward trend. And two, I have the moving average trending up. So at this point in time, there's no reason for me to start to get to a bearish mode. Now, it may form into that, but right now it'd be my guess to say the top's in, and it'll be my guess, and it'd be wrong of me to go down what probably a lot of people are doing, is in the fear camp. Remember, when at the point of a lot of fear in the markets, that's when we tend to form bottoms, right? And so let me just open up this. I'll open up this chart here, and as you can see, I'm going to show you this here, right? So back last time here, and again, this is all about just to help you in every market out there. What are the simple main things you can look at to give you a gauge on what's going on right now? And are we starting to potentially shift? Are we starting to potentially form a top here? Because as you know, 90% of the time we call a top, it doesn't happen. And I don't know, this could be the top. And if I caught a top right now, I guarantee I'm going to be wrong 90% of the time, because it's probably just going to make another high, just like it's done all year, right? And so I don't want to call the top yet. I'm going to let the market do that. And what that simply means is, as you can see back here, what is this? Up, down, higher lows, right? We had probably nothing through there. We had a little higher low there. We had a higher low there, and we had a higher low here, right? Look what happened. As long as we're making those higher lows, all those little drops in the markets that people probably got freaked out about was what? Just a continuation. And what was happening with the moving average? Moving average was doing what at this point in time? Trending up, okay? Now, what actually happened? This was the low. Look what happened. Right here was the first time it did what? It actually broke the low, right? So we're making higher lows, but this is the very first time here we stopped making higher lows. And so that's the first time then we have an actual thing on the chart to tell us now we could be shifting into a bear market, right? And I don't want you to be afraid of a crash. I don't want you. The word crash brings a lot of. When we think the word crash, right? We think really big drop in the markets, don't we? And so we don't want to. And one of the things I'm doing here, guys, for you is I'm trying to give you tools to help you stay emotionally calm and not get sucked into the greed, into the FOMO, or into the fear, right? Because whenever we do that, we don't make good decisions. And most of the time when we're in that state, we're making what? Bad decisions. We end up losing money. So the number one thing over the last 20 years for me to rely on is what the market is doing, okay? And it's not until we actually break a significant low like we did back here. And then what also happened with the moving average back here? See this here? Not only did we actually break the low here, so meaning we're actually making higher lows, higher, and then we broke the lows, so we're no longer making higher lows. But what ended up happening with the moving average? The moving average started flattening out, did it? So if this is like a momentum indicator, when we have higher lows, upward trend, the trend is your friend until the end, and we have the moving average trending up, so the momentum is still to the upside. So until the market starts to give me some sort of shifting pattern, breaking significant lows, and then potentially the moving average start to flatten out, then guess what? I can't actually be bearish. And any short-term drop, again, just like we've gotten throughout the year, drop here, drop here, drop here, and what's happening now, any short-term drop in the markets is probably just going to be a very short-term drop. And this is a lot of traders miss the forest from the trees, and so they get really sucked into, oh, big down day in the markets. But then they may be thinking this is the top here, right? Now, when I talked about here about this indicator, this is the fear and greed. Look at this here. This is the fear and greed index. And I've been talking about this with my actual coaching clients. It was actually down here to the extreme fear, okay? Look at this here. Now, when people are fearful, it's time to be greedy, right? The last time we got the fear and greed index popping down to here, which is below 25, which is now into the extreme fear, and this is where a lot of traders, firstly, they're not using actual charts to tell them what's going on. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, okay? I just walked you through it a little bit as well too. But secondly, when there's a lot of fear, when there's a lot of fear in the markets, we're probably dropping a bit in the markets, right? And then guess what's happening? Then then the media comes out about, and then the headlines and YouTube videos, and they go down the path of what? Crash coming and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing I do say is that last time we got below here, which is now the extreme fear, which was when? Back here around the August 5th. Now check this out, okay? This is the August 5th here. If I go to the round about the August 5th, when was that? When was August 5th? Right there. Now, do any of you guys remember? So right here, this was the week of August 5th. Right? Now, few things. Remember, the first thing is what? The first thing is that to me, when we're going through this drop here this year, and this was a big 10% drop in the actual stock market. People are really freaking out because this is the weekly chart. But if I go back to the daily charts, right, this is what was happening here on the daily charts. We're coming off quite strongly here, and this is where it's so important to keep an eye on that weekly chart, regardless of what market you're looking at. Okay, regardless of what market you're looking at, and just understanding where we're at. So when we actually were having this big drop here, I was telling all my coaching clients two things, and what I just walked you through. Okay, to me, I'm not going to let my emotions, greed, FOMO, or fear involve with my decisions and making decisions right now. All I can do is say, are we still in an upward trend? And we come up and we come down, and we come up, it comes down to make a high low, come up, down for 4 weeks, but it's still above the low. So I said to my coaching clients, we are still in an upward trend. This could just be a real short-term fear drop, short-term, which a lot of people, they're only focused on the short-term, and then suddenly we could get another rally here. And if you're around my YouTube videos at that time, you would know that I was talking about that just stay calm, we're probably going to make another new high. And that's what I was saying here, that we still could be making another high low here. And then the second thing is what? What is the moving average doing? Are we actually starting to flatten out? Or is the moving average still pretty strong to the upside? See how it's really strong to the upside? So I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, like no one does, but to give me some sort of, okay, what's going on here? And then guess what happened? The market continued up, and then away we go, right? And so the last time was down through here, and now we're getting what? Now we're getting the same sort of thing here. So the last time this happened, we had a massive rally out of what? Out of the stock market, right? Because again, that was down here. And if I bring up the daily charts, then we all know that was the scare that people got. And then look what actually happened. We had a massive rally afterwards. We're getting the same sort of maximum fear right now out of the people, or out of the markets. So that tells me that we're probably going to get another massive rally coming after this, and this may be a very short-term bottom before we start to see it move to the upside. Now, I don't know the exact bottom, and I'm not saying to place a trade based off this, because again, no one knows. Like, this could form into something else. Just be smart around the way you're trading, right? But the last time we got this was because of that, right? And so this is the really big thing that I want to share with you guys. And every single market I'm looking at, I'm always looking at those two different things, right? Let's go to the Nasdaq. What's the Nasdaq doing? Even though the Nasdaq had a big drop through here, what is this weekly chart? This weekly chart is doing what? And this is where it gets so cool, right? This is where it gets so awesome. We can just use two things to keep us on track of what's going on. Even if we do get a big drop, up, down, that was the higher low there, right? Right here was the higher low, wasn't it? And then we went up, and then we had a real big drop, didn't we? But did it still make another higher low? Yes. And then we ran up and came down and made another higher low, and away we go. Now, what was the moving average doing this entire time? See how it was just trending nicely to the upside? And now look what's happening, right? We've got this drop in the Nasdaq, but what's the Nasdaq doing right now? The last significant low was back here. And all we've done is just gone up through there. So we could get a pullback down to here somewhere, still create another higher low, and away we go. Right? Now remember what I said before. Look, right? Until that starts to happen, major toppings pattern, look at this here, okay? Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, and then we started to break that low there, especially break that low here, right? We could get big drops, and then guess what? This was the point now we started to form this downward phase, right? And that happened for 12 months after we got this here. But we're nowhere near getting that type of action, right? Remember, rule number one for me is the trend is your friend until the end, right? The trend is your friend until the end, and we just want to go with that. So go with that. And again, guys, we all know trading is a hard thing, right? Trading is an emotional game, and I'm trying to use all these different tools to give me the best chances of, or trying to do whatever I can to remove my emotions, especially when I'm in a trade, right? Which I'm in a few trades right now myself. So I'm utilizing the same techniques. I'm like, forget my emotions for a minute. Forget my fear and my greed and just, okay, what's the market doing? And I've got to be, and the only way that I'll be able to do that is I've got to be able to rely on techniques like this to help me stay calm in the midst of extreme fear. Because a lot of the times when there's markets of extreme fear, it's probably some really good opportunities within that fear, just like it was back here. And then suddenly we had the big rally, right? And same for the Dow Jones, right? Dow Jones had a big drop to the downside, but what was the Dow Jones doing, right? Same sort of thing. And look at this back here, right? What was the moving at? Look at this here. So this was the top here in the Dow Jones, right? What was happening with the moving average? Look at the moving average, just started flattening out, and then we went down, didn't we? So a lot of the times the market, the move will stop being an upward trend, and the moving average will flatten out. Until that happens, guys, our thoughts and our opinions and everything we can go down a rabbit hole of YouTube channels and so on and so forth telling us the top's in is nothing but opinion. And until we actually have evidence from the big boys who actually move this market around and we start to get this here, the trend is your friend until the end. And if you don't want to be going down the path of trying to pick a top. Why? Because for the last 2 years, you have been wrong. If you're right, if you pick a top right now and it does start to form into one of these here, then you're a legend 10% of the time, right? So I just wanted to walk you through that, guys. I think it's really, really, really important to understand about these markets and some things that, the techniques that I'm utilizing all the time to help me stay in charge of what's going on with these markets for me. So let's go look at gold and silver right now. So looking at gold and silver, this is where, to me, I said that the short-term trend, this bull phase is over, but I don't think we're going to get a big crash out of gold, right? Because this short-term trend on the daily charts, higher lows, and the moving averages has now come to an end, okay? Meaning this low came down low, we went sideways, we went down. Now look what's happening with the moving averages, right? We're making higher low, higher low, higher low. It broke the low, and now we're going sideways. Now the moving averages are just going sideways. There's no short-term trend here, okay? Now don't expect a big crash out of gold. Why? Because ultimately, the big massive trend is still up to the upside here. So this could just be one of those, maybe a couple of months worth of sideways movement, maybe before we go for another move to the upside, right? It's one of these, right? It's like what you want. And again, same sort of thing, right? Same sort of thing that I've talked about in the past about how things can start to change from here. So that's all I'm seeing there when it comes to gold. I don't expect a really big drop out of gold. I just expect to, and I talked about this before in my last video, that maybe all we're just going to get out of gold is one of these types of patterns. And once again, one of these types of patterns. And it actually just seems to do that, doesn't it? It just seems to do that again and again and again out of the markets, right? There's the movement, there's the movement, and there's the movement as well too, right? So we get that sideways phase from there, okay? And put it this way, right? Whenever we do get these phases right here, where there is no clear trend and the moving averages are sideways, guess what? That's a time to eject and not look for trading opportunities. Why? Because you end up getting, look at this here. Nice trending phase, nice trending phase. Volatile, volatile, volatile. When we ever go through these phases, it's a time to not look for a trade, for me anyway. And the reason why is because you're likely to get chewed up, spat out, and you're like, oh, this market's rigged and so on and so forth. No, you're just part of the phase where it's very, very volatile, and you're getting chewed up from there, right? And the thing for silver as well too, if we have a look at silver, silver's been doing pretty much nothing as well too. Now the thing for silver though is, as you can see, look what's happening here. We're still making slight higher lows, but look at the moving average start. We're not, silver's been one of those really, really, you know, look at the moving average. It's starting to flatten out. We were strong through there, weren't we? Now we're starting to flatten out. So silver's one of those markets that's like, man, it's actually not strong at all. So yeah, silver, yeah, it's probably not, yeah, silver's probably not going to go. I've always said after what we saw just recently with this gold price here, okay, I always said that we're probably not going to do much now for the rest of this year. After we got this drop through here, we're probably not going to do much for the rest of this year. So that's what I see happening through there, guys. If I go look at check out oil, and this is, remember I said before, guys, like one thing the daily chart can give us is that, and especially the daily charts, right? Look at this here. If you've been trying to trade this daily chart on this oil chart here, you have been getting destroyed, right? And this is the time for me, like I haven't actually had a trade on oil for a long time. Why? I don't get involved with this mess. This volatility, we're getting like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Like, no, it's not for me. Not for me. Now, remember what I said before, right? Remember what I said before. What are we looking at? The most important thing to us is what? What's the moving average and what's the trend on the weekly chart, right? Because that's the big trend, isn't it? And look what's been happening through here. There, right? So look what's still happening right now. Down, up, lower, high, down, up, lower, high, down, up, lower, high. And now we're just going sideways, aren't we? But what's the moving average starting to do? Look at the moving average trending down. So at this point in time, guess what? We can't be bullish, can we? From a technical analysis point of view, if you're a trader, right? If you trade the markets, mean you're looking for opportunities to get in, and the way that I personally trade is, I'm looking to get into trades today, because all I do is I trade half an hour a day. And when I say trade half an hour a day, is I'm looking to get into trades and hopefully hold them for a few weeks, maybe hold them for a few months and try to capitalize on a really good profit on that one trade. A lot of traders are trying to trade a lot in the markets, and I've never been able to make a really good profit out of that. You know, do you actually want to make a big profit, or you want to make a lot of small profits? We make a big profit, right? So how do you make a big profit? You get into something and hold it for a while, right? So for me, what I do is I like to trade the daily charts, meaning I like to get in on the daily charts and hold it for just like I'm in a couple of trades right now, and you know I've been in them now for I think one of them a couple of weeks now. You know, just let it go, let it continue doing really well, right? So that's what I'm seeing through there from that point there. Now let's go check out the good old Bitcoin market here, right? So I want to talk to you about a few things here that I think is really important to understand about these markets and how these markets work, okay? So when we see this market here, one thing that I know for sure is that if you look at this moving average, again, this is the weekly chart and the 24 moving average, okay? If you see this moving average here, right, and you see this moving average going through here, then you know whenever we do get these spikes and it gets too far away from the moving average, you know it's now overbought, right? It has had too much movement on the upside, and now we're likely to experience what? A bit of a drop to the downside, right? Because now we've just experienced too much to the upside. And so I talked about this in my last video with on the good old YouTubes, and I said that if we do get a move to the upside, we may get a short-term move, but it's probably likely to be a false move. And why did I say that? And I said because these moves here are like an energy field, right? They're like energy. And whenever we do get a move up, this is like a full tank of fuel, right? A full tank of fuel. And we're getting ready for a really big move. We're getting ready for a go to a move, right? And we take off and we take off and we take off. And then inevitably they come to point what? When we actually get, the tank goes to zero, right? And then we need to go refuel to go forward some more trip, right? And then we end up getting this type of action. You know what I mean? Like a bit of a drop through here. But through this period, what I have found a lot of the times is that we will get a really big move to the upside like this here and call this here now 20. The fuel tank is now only got 20% left because it's used 80%, right? We've only got, and now this is the 20%. Now this whole level through here is now what? That's only 20% of the tank left, right? What can happen is sometimes we get a short-term pullback and we go for another one again. We haven't had a big pullback here, have we? No. So what ends up happening here, this last move is using the last 20% before we go through there. If you go watch my last video from this video here, you'll be able to see that I walked you through that. And that's exactly what has happened here, right? We went for a big move up, we had a little pullback and we tried to go again and now we failed. Why is that completely failing from here? Because if you understand the market as an energy source, you'll know that it actually had a really big move, but all it had was this point through here to get going again in the market. And now we've actually had drop to the downside. So I'm not calling for a big crash out of Bitcoin. I do expect to see a really pretty significant drop in the crypto market, only because of how many people are bullish it. So I think there's a lot more downside to come out of the crypto market. And also, if we just look at the way this history works, every single time we get these really big spikes, inevitably what ends up coming, right? We end up coming back towards the moving average, back towards it, back towards it, back towards it, back towards it, right? So as this moving average may be trending up through here, right, we're never really going to come back towards it, right? They're going to come back together again. So when we get too far away, it ends up coming back to that there, okay? Now, the very last thing I want to share with you is a trading setup. It's actually the way that I trade the market, and it's just amazing. And this is now for any time frame you're looking at, and any chart you're looking at, right? Because when you start to understand the charts, you can understand any market. See the analysis I'm doing on Bitcoin is the same analysis for stock market and so on and so forth, right? So the last thing I want to share with you is an actual trading setup that actually happened on the crypto market, but on a shorter time frame charts. What I walked you through was the big overall charts. But if you're a shorter term chart guy, right, you're looking at the 5-minute charts, 15, maybe hourly charts. Let me bring this up here for you, okay? And this is actually a screenshot that I actually put up for my coaching clients just recently. And I want to share this with you here, okay? Because this is actually a pretty powerful type of setup here. Now, let me actually, what I'll do is I will go from this slide here, and to the left is the Bitcoin 1 hour chart as of today, and to the right is the Bitcoin, the Ethereum 1 hour chart, okay? Now, this is a setup that I noticed that happens, and it seems to work quite well. And again, it's what I'm personally looking for, in the markets, is I'm looking for this type of setup. It just happens to be at a significant support line. So what I'm looking for is a period of sideways movement to a strong moving average. That's what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for a period of sideways movement to a strong moving average. So that's my setup. That I just gave you 80% of my setup there. I know that sounds pretty crazy, right? And the same for the bullish side, right? I'm looking for a sideways period to a strong. That's my setup. Now I need my entry candle to get in on, and now I need to know exactly how to qualify that and what it used to cut my losses short, let my profits run, right? And I know that it can't be that simple, right? But I'm sharing with you exactly how I trade the markets, right? And if you're interested, guys, in my equity curve for this year, then if you go to getjohnshelp.com, there should be a link in the description there. That's actually an application for my coaching program. I'm about to take it down for 2025. So if you do need some help, guys, through 2025, and you'd like more hand holding about learning my actual trading system, how I trade the markets only 30 minutes per day, have me there every week coaching you and helping you, be part of a community of people as well too, a small group of inner circle private clients, and to really help you and coach you through everything about not only from trading systems, but things that we, like I'm talking about today, to help you control your mindset. And so that, and if you've had a bad year this year and you're ready to become a lot more disciplined and a lot more serious about this, then the coaching program may be a good fit for you. If you go over to getjohnshelp.com, there should be a link in the description there. If you go over there right now, you can read all the details about that and you can apply for that. And plus also you can actually see my equity curve on there. If you think about, if you're wondering, does this guy even actually trade the markets? And you'll be able to see what I've done here from all of this year, right? But I'm trying to share with you the foundations of what I look for in the markets here, right? Now, what I always say to my coaching clients is whenever I get this here, and I'll just show you this here, right? So let me do this here again for you, right? All right, here, right? So for a bearish setup, this is what I'm looking for. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a sideways period to a moving average is strong trending on the downside, and then I'm looking for this large bar here, large bar right here to be what? To be breaking below the support level. Sideways movement to a strong moving average. Setup. Now I need my entry candle. I need the breakdown first. I'm not going to get in here because who knows? This actually then could start moving to the upside, right? We want to see the breakdown first. The breakdown and closing below this level here gives us a probability of actually having a move for, at least for a short period of time, right? Now I like to use this on a daily chart. And the reason why, because I can tend to get a 2 to 5 day move on a short-term basis, and sometimes up to a month or more for one of those more longer-term type of positions in the markets here, right? So if you see that through there, and if I go to, this is the Bitcoin chart, like right now as I speak today, this is the Bitcoin chart to the right here. Let me actually zoom in here a bit more so I can show you. Look, this is Bitcoin. What do we have here? There's the sideways movement. There's the strong moving average. And what's this here? See the large bar breaking out? And a nice move down. And in fact, that was actually the start of the big drop that actually came out of the Bitcoin chart. See how that's the setup there on the yellow charts. See, the reason why my setup is so powerful in the way that I trade is because it doesn't matter what time frame or what market you're looking at. This is the exact same setup. I'm in 2 individual stocks right now. Right, so that's what I'm looking at from there. And then now if I go down to the Ethereum chart, is that moving? Oh, yeah. If I go down to, this is now the right chart over here is what? This right chart over here is the Ethereum chart. And what is this? The same thing, right? We're getting the sideways movement to the strong moving average, and then we get the large bar breaking out. Why wait for the large bar breaking out and breaking below this support level? Why? Because now it gives us confirmation of we could be getting ready for the move on the downside, right? And as you can see here, this is a bit of a template that I gave my coaching clients here. If I zoom my charts out now, you can see the template here is what? This sort of, when we get this sort of channels or at least major levels of support through here, and these levels of support through here, right? Whenever we get that, there's either 2 different types of patterns. We get the sideways movement in the channel, and then we break out of the channel, or there can be some other times when we get the sideways movement, we actually get the break down first, and then we get the sideways movement, the break down first. But in this case here, we actually got within the, not really a channel, but the sideways movement within the support level. And this one here was a bit like a channel as well. This one here was definitely like a channel here. So anyway, traders, I really hope this really helped you out. If I don't do any more videos before Christmas here, guys, I really hope you guys have an amazing Christmas here. Trading has been such an amazing year for me, guys. I've gone through my ups, I've gone through my downs, I've gone through my losing streaks as well too. But as long as you really are, guys, if you're really disciplined and really serious about this and you put a bit of commitment in here, you can truly transform the way that you do things and start to really shift things in the positive direction for you.